Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thanks for stopping by as always. There's so much going on. Let me start with some macro thoughts. The Dow Jones's slide on Monday just gave observers something new to worry about. Look at the chart, that's not a good signal. I spoke about Halcyon days in February this year when I said it's from the Latin Halcyone, daughter of Julius and the wife of Sikhs. When her husband died in a shipwreck, Halcyone threw herself into the sea, whereupon the gods transformed them both into Halcyon birds, kingfishers. When Halcyone made her nest on the beach, waves threatened to destroy it. Julius restrained his winds and kept them calm during 7 days in each year so she could lay her eggs. These became known as Halcyon days when storms do not occur. Today the term is used to denote a past period that is being remembered for being happy and or successful. And the point was I was talking about the calmness of the markets. I think we exited that moment of calm, all those Halcyon days. Shanghai Composite Index entered a bear market after falling 20% from its high. China's yuan has had the biggest 7-day losing streak against the dollar since August 2015. That's Lisa Abramovitz. So in general, we're seeing some very fragile markets, that's for sure. Some other macro thoughts. Hedge funds made millions from the pound's Brexit crash. This is something in Bloomberg. It's well worth watching, reading and listening to. And as I tweeted to AC Grayling, it increasingly looks like Brexit was just a trade. The winners have bagged their swag. Pollsters in this other part of the report helped hedge funds make millions on Brexit referendum night. Have a read of that as well. Bitcoin could be a bubble, Jack Ma warns. Where are we now? 6,200, holding above that key 5,800 low that we saw. Gold plunges to a 6-month low, 1257, as the dollar keeps on strengthening. Home thoughts, I came across this Sunday on top of the Samburu. This was from Dion van Aert. And what a photograph and a joyful one it is. And then I simultaneously read this tweet from Yoko Ono: your life is being conducted in front of the world like a play. Know that it is therefore a play to people who watch it. And this is a photograph of Hannah in the Samburu, well, in a swimming pool near the Samburu. When you finish anything, people want you then to talk about it, and I think it's almost like a crime. A film or a painting, each thing is its own sort of language, and it's not right to try to say the same thing in words. The words are not there. The language of film, cinema, is the language it was put into, and the English language, it's not going to translate, it's going to lose. A film or TV show is like a magic act, he continues, and magicians don't tell how they did a thing. He hates the idea of behind-the-scenes footage or making of films about special effects. People do it for sales, for money, but the film is the thing and should be protected. That took me back to Salman Rushdie. Ours is the most cryptic of centuries. Its true nature, a dark secret. One human life is deeper than the ocean. Strange fishes and sea monsters and mighty plants live in the rock bed of our spirits. The whole of human history is an undiscovered continent deep in our souls. There are dolphins, plants that dream, magic birds inside us, the sky is inside us, the earth is in us. Ben Okri. Political reflections, democracy is the winner in Turkey's elections, says President Erdoğan. Listen to this interview on Bloomberg with Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir. I think Malaysia is lucky to have Mahathir. particularly at this moment. Italy suggests migrant centres south of Libya's borders. New leaders step up, plan to curb immigration. They've really taken a hard line on that side. Outrage after Rodrigo Duterte calls God a stupid son of a bitch. He's prone to these kinds of outbursts. President Trump boasts of his great hair, ridiculing long-running speculation it might be a wig, and saying his mane is one of the great things I got. Love watching lion documentaries. They too like a good mane. International markets fear index. The VIX jumps by 26% on trade worries, while the S&P fell the most since April. Currency markets: euro dollar 116.75, dollar index 94.53, Japanese yen 109.64, Swiss franc 0.9894, the pound 132.40, the Aussie just above 74, 74 the figure, India rupee 68.175, South Korean won 11.18, the Rial 377.66, Egyptian pound 17.8837, and the Rand is at 13.5848. This is a chart of the dollar index from Chi-Girl. Let's see what unfolds. We're at 94.53 euro dollar. This chart is from T Commodity. I think we had a double bottom at 115.15. I think we'll hold there for now, but I don't know how high this rebound can carry. Commodity markets: gold is seen in this from Bloomberg again. It's at 6-month lows. Looks as if it wants to go lower. Brent crude is back above $75 a barrel, which is a bullish development. Emerging markets. I wrote a piece on the 14th of May when I said this is all the ingredients for baking a good old-fashioned crisis, and we could be in one. Turkish assets are back to square one before Erdogan's next move. Frontier markets: poppy field near Jalalabad, Afghanistan, on the Silk Road. Things you don't really need to know, says RenCap Man. The best performing frontier index this year is up 34% in dollars, and it's Tunisia. Well, I'm glad I knew that. Sub-Saharan Africa: Ethiopia's reform-minded Prime Minister says attack on mass rally won't divide the country. My feelings have already been stated here. I think is really dynamic, mercurial, Virillian, and Gladwellian. Virillian because Paul Virilio speaks about speed being the essence of today's world, and Gladwellian because he's trying to infect everybody with a virus of love, for example. Eritrean delegation to arrive in Addis Ababa on Tuesday. Ethiopian spokesman: that's a big development, right? And he was, after all, sending love bombs to President Isaiah Afwerki, who probably hasn't had a love bomb sent to him ever. Burning Cameroon: images you're not meant to see. BBC World, hard-hitting report about a sort of low-level civil war. Man calmly sets fire to a house, watched by a group of at least 12 men dressed in fatigues, helmets and black webbing, consistent with those worn by an elite army unit in Cameroon. I want to die, a village chief tells his tormentors as they beat and threaten to kill him. They appear to be members of a separatist militia. Captured on video and shared widely on social media, these are among dozens of clips that have been pouring out of Cameroon over the last 6 months, some of which have been analysed by BBC Africa Eye. Zambia introduces new austerity measures to deal with high debt level. That's a report in the Brookings Global. President Lungu ordered several austerity measures to address the country's worsening debt crisis. These measures include cancellation of some existing loans, a ban on the issuance of letters of credit, guarantees to state-owned enterprises, termination of financing for projects below 80% completion, and reduction in ministerial travel. They're going to have to do more than that. Congo's Moishi Katumbi is open to an opposition coalition that could include Mr. Bemba, who's just been released from the ICC. I'm in favour of a union of all opposition parties, including with Bemba, who is a major actor. Unity is strength, he said. 6th of June 2016, I wrote how Kabila had outwitted Moise Katumbi by removing him from the street in the Congo entirely. And I said this might well prove a cleverly administered technical knockout. So far, he's not back. Pollsters last year showed that WhatsApp alone accounts for 44% of internet usage in Zimbabwe and is the most popular internet platform in Africa, I think. Guy Tillim, David Goldblatt was a touchstone for all South African photographers. Foreign investors' holdings of South African bonds have dropped to the lowest level in more than a year. Paul Wallace, South African all shares down 6.08% this year. Dollar versus Rand back at 13.58.48. Looks as if it's going to have a look at 14, I think. Egyptian pound 17.8837. Nigerian all shares down 0.66% year to date. Ghana Stock Exchange up 11.85% year to date. Angola says it's in talks with majors including Exxon to boost oil output, which fell to a 4-year low this year. Acacia Mining, which has lost nearly 80% of its value since a ban on unprocessed ore in March 2017, and denies all wrongdoing, but is still in limbo. Barrick is negotiating on Acacia's behalf with the Tanzanian government, previously said it would provide an agreement for approval by Acacia's board by the end of June, but in its own statement on Sunday, Barrick said talks continued and backed away from providing a new deadline in order to allow the process to continue in an orderly manner. I don't think they have any leverage. Kenya, President Kagame arrived in Nairobi to attend the 14th Northern Corridor Integration Project Summit, along with President Museveni. My piece over the weekend was the question, why are you killing the goose that is laying the golden eggs? I was talking about M-Pesa being ubiquitous and a viral phenomenon, how M-Pesa dialed Kenya Inc. up onto the global radar, with even Bill Gates tweeting, Kenya's M-Pesa proves that when people are empowered, they will use digital tech to innovate on their own. And I was talking about, the size of the mobile money market. Money that was transferred in January this year was 3.229 billion. I was going back to January 2010 when it was just below $500 million. I was talking about this enormous exponential parabolic growth curve. Someone quite rightly picked me up on a mistake, because I just did a simple maths calculation dividing 3.229 by 0.484 and coming up with a CAGR number, of course, without factoring the compounding. Only one person corrected me, however, Wazua. So big shout out to Wazua for that, because I saw it after I'd filed it. I was saying this M-Pesa mobile money economy was static before, largely trapped in the form of mattress money. And M-Pesa is about volume, but also about velocity. And I was saying how this has outstanding velocity. Then I asked, I saw this increase in the excise duty by 200 basis points, and I said that's a seriously suboptimal move, and that I was calling for an immediate reversal of that excise duty increase, as long as a removal of the M-Pesa cap, which I think is artificial and uncalled for now. Nairobi all shares up 1.028% so far this year, but it's dropped 13.42% since hitting a record high on April 5. NSE 20 down 11%. I participated in an event this morning where Saturn was signing an agreement for $21 million of funding from Talera, which is a Finnish investment fund operating here in Africa. And there was plenty of good content that came out of it. The main key takeaways, 2.1 billion shillings. Cumulative total that they've put in is $55 million. They've had an IRR which is above 20%. They're very happy, and they said as much. Shiv Arora, he commented on the occasion of this signing agreement, and it was a very interesting event, and I'm grateful I attended it. Interestingly, I learned Maputo is still 3 times more expensive on per square foot basis than Nairobi. That was interesting. Thank you for stopping by.